is how many attorneys are actually putting the time in to do that work. Any attorney, any person can donate money. Money is easy, but organizations like Tacoma Pro Bono and these other nonprofit agencies, they don't exist without people doing work. And when you're an attorney and you have deadlines and your own caseload, it's easy to forget about anything else. And it's easy when you're a business owner to forget about anything else. But when you're a person who cares about community, it's not something you forget about. And those attorneys deserve to be spotlighted and rewarded for that type of behavior. And that's what the Sharkies seek to do every year.
So, why do you think most average Americans have negative, stereotypes about lawyers?
Um,
And how
well,
how do we overcome that? The lawyers are a good part of it. I think lawyers are needed in society, right?
oh yeah, I think if
But
you have a healthy distrust of government, then you don't dislike lawyers. I think why people dislike lawyers is uh, I'm not. Where are you from originally?
Texas.
Texas. In Texas, is every billboard a lawyer billboard? Because in Florida, every billboard is a lawyer billboard. And in Georgia, every billboard is a lawyer billboard. And what gets to be the problem is when lawyers are so aggressively marketing themselves that you're annoyed by it. That's not that's not good for the world. That's just it drowns people out and puts people off. And that's like the idea of like ambulance chasing, right? Like an attorney who's so hungry for business that he will follow an ambulance to a hospital just to give his business card to someone who's in a hospital bed and say, please hire me, I'll help you. That's not know your rights. That is aggressively targeting injured people to encourage business for yourself. Um, that's why people dislike attorneys because they don't want to be aggressively targeted by anyone. They don't want to be aggressively marketed at. But our generation of social media and instant gratification when you need access to information, it changed things a lot. And so I think younger people are going to be more excited to have attorneys um, accessible. And you're not accessible because you're on a billboard. That's not what makes you an accessible person to a young person who's used to that instant gratification. Uh, You you're accessible because you have access to a community and or in a community. You're a part of a community. And so when people know you, when you're doing things like speaking on podcasts and making personal connections, that's the value that lawyers can bring to a community. And being a resource is really important. And like you said, attorneys are incredibly important. You think about any terrible, terrible situation in world history. Lawyers are some of the first people to get uh, taken out, I guess is the best way to put it. If people understand their legal rights, and the government or an entity who's trying to go around those legal rights can't do what they're trying to do. So lawyers are the first line of defense against people being taken advantage of. And if there are not lawyers, then people don't know what their rights are, and governments or police or any of these entities who might benefit from doing terrible things can do those terrible things without recourse.
When did you know you want to become a lawyer? How that process started and work out?
It was a real gradual thing. I didn't wake up as a kid and say, "Man, I love Matlock. I really want to wear that white suit." I think that the idea of lawyers just being super fancy and the TV shows like Suits that glorify like Manhattan style contract negotiation is it's just like a joke. That's not what lawyering is. I think more often uh, people resonate with a regular person who's a lawyer as well. And if you're good at your job, no matter what your job is, people will gravitate towards you because you're good at your job. And if you're good at your job, the results speak for themselves and it doesn't matter what that job is. And so for me, it was like I knew that being a lawyer would help me to help people. And I didn't know what kind of lawyer I wanted to be, whether I was going to be a family law lawyer, a criminal defense a lawyer, or personal injury attorney like I am now. The goal was just how can I best help people? And so even after law school, I wasn't sure, and it didn't matter because I couldn't help people right out of law school to do a good job on stuff. I had to go learn how to be a lawyer. And I learned that from attorneys that were more experienced than me and said, well, what do I perceive them doing right? What are they teaching me? And what do I perceive them doing that I would do differently? And put my own flavor on everything that these attorneys taught me and said, here's how I do it now. And I've been incredibly successful, thankfully.
Does it matter what law school you graduate from, as far as like being a good lawyer, a great lawyer, or you know, or the money you might make as a lawyer?
No, I know Stanford educated folks and Harvard educated folks, and I think um and I know plenty of people who went to fourth tier, which is the lowest tier of law schools that have lost their accreditation after these people graduated, and uh, I don't think that matters. I don't think it matters. Law school prepares someone to take the bar exam, and it changes the way your mind works, and it changes, hopefully, your work ethic. People can't get through law school with the same priorities they had in undergrad and the same work ethic they had in undergrad. It's a whole other ball game. And so if you are a hard worker and you get through law school, it does not matter what law school you went to. I think it matters what your work ethic is after law school's over and after you pass that bar exam. And do you still have that fire to go learn and to go work and to go be the best person that is in that courtroom? Um, when you're a young attorney, you're physically matched up against attorneys who have been potentially practicing law since before you were born. That is a huge, overwhelming thought, but that doesn't matter because they didn't choose which side they were representing. They have their client, you have your client. Your job is to represent your client to the best possible ability that you have. And if that means you didn't sleep last night because you were researching case law and you were trying to understand what their arguments were going to be and how to counter those arguments, that's what being a lawyer is about. It's mental chess. It's debate. It's argument. It's how can you be the best version of the attorney that needs to represent that client?